Alright everyone, the Biden crime syndicate strikes again. New whistleblower testimony and a WhatsApp message, also allegations regarding Merrick, Garland, etc., etc. This has actually gotten big enough that the legacy media is actually reporting on it. They've tried to hush this up. Like originally with the Hunterbiden laptop, they said there's nothing to investigate, so we won't investigate it. Then later on, they were forced to apologize and say, yeah, there was a problem all along. Whoops, we're sorry for lying to everybody. We knew that we were lying, by the way, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They've tried to lie by omission by not covering anything with regards to the big guy case, which is what you can term it. So Joe Biden was involved with his son's business dealings. He lied to the American people and claimed that was not actually the case. He claimed he didn't meet people, which we know by photographic evidence. He met with numerous business partners of Hunter, including when he was actually in office. Now, this is pertaining to a message that was sent in the middle of 2017. Trump had already been inaugurated by that point. The problem is that the ongoing actual business dealings date back to when Joe Biden was in office in some cases, and that becomes a problem, because if you're I'll read the message verbatim here that's listed, a link in the description, archived, of course, about halfway down the article. The presumption would be that there's a problem, and some of this material only points to the insinuation that Hunter would use daddy's power to lean on investors or businessmen. And that's not proof of anything, it's speculative. We have to keep that in mind. If Hunter says, well, I'm going to go and get my dad and he'll talk to you, well, that doesn't prove that he ever did that. It could just be a bluff. But when we read this particular text message, it does seem to indicate that Joe Biden was acutely aware of the business dealings going on at least once he had left office. And considering the claims about Merrick Garland and the IRS and Delaware Attorney General's case, it's getting a little bit muddy, which is why the legacy media is actually reporting on it instead of omitting it entirely from the news cycle. Meanwhile, the White House has no response whatsoever. Karine Jean-Pierre effectively pleading the fifth for Joey. That makes no sense if you're innocent. I would think that for public relations purposes, you would simply flat out deny any wrongdoing and say, look, Hunter was smoking crack at the time. He must have been bluffing to this dude. I wasn't there. But if you were there, you don't want to say that because it could be problematic in an ongoing legal case that could end up actually happening. I'm beginning to think that there might actually be some attempt to investigate this. Won't come from the DOJ, FBI, or anything like that, though. And it'll be labeled as hyperpartisan anyway. Let's see what Joey said. The House Ways and Means Committee yesterday released documents, their authenticity nowhere challenged, that included a July 2017 WhatsApp message sent by Hunter Biden to Henry Zhao, a Chinese Communist Party official. Telling. Which said in full, I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand. And now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge that you will regret not following my direction, I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Interesting. Then, of course, Karine Jean-Pierre, Kirby, and others were queried about this. They have absolutely nothing to say. The allegation gets even worse, though. The allegation by one of the IRS whistleblowers is that when this text message was being brought up at all, it was denied for ever even being investigated. Now, we're not sure that Hunter Biden wasn't talking out of his ass, although there are contemporary photographs showing that he was in proximity to Joe at the time, so it's entirely likely. I would say there's a 99% chance that he wasn't bluffing. The big guy literally was there in the room. Guess he got a return call fairly quickly, by the way. But we can't prove that. The problem is that to prove it for legal reasons, you need evidence. To gain further evidence, you would have to investigate. What it appears to have happened is that Merrick Garland squished that out, said, it's not relevant, don't investigate it. No, you're not allowed to go through this. Meanwhile, the same group downgrading charges via the IRS, the FBI refusing to look into it, the DOJ actively covering ass for Biden, and this is all contemporary to laptop contents that were originally called Russian disinformation by an FBI that knew that it was lying flat out to big tech when it claimed that, utilizing the legacy media for explicitly propagandistic purposes via them and the DOJ, while also squishing out the state of Delaware and having any action towards Hunter Biden as well. and effectively dropping the, I don't even know what's happening with the gun charge at this point, probably another probationary issue. Everyone knows that when you're lying on federal forms, you don't really get in trouble now, do you? Well, I've seen that, and I've seen that countermanded by people who have been working as goddamn U.S. attorneys for an extended period of time. That's not typically going to be the case. Yeah, you might get a plea deal. That's perfectly fine. Usually, if you're a first-time offender, Hunter's definitely not. Given the severity of the potential charges, though, getting probation and nothing else is a sweetheart deal. I think that the average person in the United States understands that. Now, why would Hunter get protected so much? It's not for Hunter. You think that Hunter, the crackhead, anyone gives a shit? He's not in politics. He himself doesn't have any clout except through his daddy and through his other connections via his daddy. This is to protect Joe Biden. The Uniparty right now is scared shitless that people will demand answers enough that they actually have to conduct an investigation. And because Hunter Biden has a proclivity of leaving a paper trail a goddamn mile wide behind him, hence why we even have the laptop in the fucking first place, I think that they're worried that he screwed around so badly they're not going to be able to fully cover for him. The problem is that all those roads lead to daddy. We have in the laptop, and they are verified to be real, we have photographs showing Joe Biden meeting with people he claimed he never met, sometimes with Hunter alongside him. We have messages effectively insinuating Joe Biden's involvement, now one explicitly insinuating Joe Biden's involvement, although, again, this is after he left the fucking presidency, or rather vice presidency. The problem is that it's another lie. It's a pattern of lying. It's almost certainly true. Again, we've got contemporary photographs showing that Hunter and Joe were in proximity at the time. It would be strange if, by the way, former VP, high-level senator for a length of time, lots of connections. It would be unthinkable that Hunter wouldn't at least have been willing to drag Daddy in on the call. It would be strange if he didn't. I mean, it's nepotistic, it's wrong, it's arguably illegal, and it's definitely a lie to the American people once he mounted his election bid. I mean, you'll have to investigate further, and you're not getting an investigation. Nobody's willing to look through this except for House Ways and Means and House Intel and groups that are going to be automatically seen as partisan simply because they're run by Republicans. The hyper-politicized nature of our nation at this point precludes leaders from being meaningfully investigated even when something cockamamie has gone on. Something really, really high level, it's like you're always going to get weaponized investigations for bullshit. You're always going to get shit pieces and propaganda and all these things, but it's gotten much worse over the last couple of decades. We've seen the overt weaponization of federal resources to try to ass cover. This happened under Obama many times. Trump conspicuously, since at least the Clinton administration, is the only one that hasn't gotten this advantage. He's the only one, his people were actively obstructing him. You remember the Lois Lerner IRS scandal? How about Fast and Furious? How about the AP spying scandal? How about the NSA revelations, all under Obama? All these things were covered for by the feds. Do you think that anything's different with Joe Biden, or that when he was out of office they weren't still covering for him? Of course, Joe Biden probably sold intel to foreign countries, insofar as he was able to. He used his son as a middleman. The problem is that Joe Biden's apparent bizarre fatherly nostalgia for his little boy may be triggered by the death of his other son that he loved more. He clings to him and relies on him just too fucking much. And Hunter Biden, for a very long time, was a wasted screw-up and made too many mistakes. I guarantee that Joe was not particularly happy when the Hunter Biden laptop allegations came out in the first place. I'm sure that he was pissed. Probably, I doubt he called him up. He probably said, "Come over to the house, son." And then he was sitting there smoking a cigar and eating figlioli like a fucking mafioso with a couple of brawny dudes in the back. He's like, "You really fucked up, boy. Bend over this table. You're going to pretend that you're 10 again." Joe's into weird shit. Just ask Ashley Biden. This is a huge case, which is why I expect that they'll go back to lying by omission if possible. I would hazard a guess if an investigation did occur, and it didn't, that's the problem, that you would find a paper trail leading directly to Joe Biden. Probably multiple trails. Hunter, having been relied upon so frequently and making so many mistakes in his crack binges along the way, that could literally undo the Biden stewardship. I mean, there is now a measurable possibility he gets impeached over this. You might not be able to shield him. It might get so bad that you have absolute undeniable proof of wrongdoing and he gets shafted. Of course, at the same time, they will be trying to shaft Donald Trump, and they'll draw comparisons to, oh, Joe Biden sold national secrets to the Chi-Coms in exchange for millions of dollars and broke the law and lied to the entire public and tried to cover it up at every possible Fed level. Well, the Uniparty is a conspiracy theory. The deep state doesn't exist. Orange man bad. That's about all. Peace out.